us on tonight's programme. Spat at, choked and attacked, Cleveland police reveal the frightening reality facing them on the front line.
I've seen officers stabbed with knives, sharp implements. I've seen vehicles driven at our officers in an attempt to run those officers over. Officers that have been punched, kicked.
Life lessons, the classes aimed at stopping the alarming rates of adolescent addiction. The killer car bought for £100 and the parents who don't want to see another child lose their life to a dangerous driver. And the possibility of promotion enters the chat as last night's win takes Borough to the top of the table. First tonight, a frightening insight into the violent reality facing police as 3 people are jailed for attacking officers in the last week alone. Cleveland police have released body cam footage of those attacks. One clip showing an officer being pushed to the floor and choked in what had been a routine arrest. And the force say that assault is far from a one-off. Our correspondent Greg Easteel has been hearing more about what faces our law enforcers in the line of duty.
June last year, and a Cleveland police officer attempts to arrest a 46-year-old man who's just got out of bed for a shoplifting offence. It seems like a routine call, but this PC's about to experience the brutal reality of working life for our bobbies on the beat. The suspect suddenly turns violent. Moments later, the body cam picture blacks out as the officer's knocked down and pinned to the ground. The audio, though, makes it clear what's happening to him. Eventually, the suspect releases his grip. Still gasping for air, the officer radios for assistance. He's been choked, but has to remain calm to continue the arrest. Craig Thompson was jailed at the end of last month for 20 months for a number of offences, including assaulting the officer. But this case was no one-off. Within the same week, this man, 38-year-old William Cash, was jailed for 30 months, again for strangling an officer. And just the next day last week, 45-year-old Darren McGee was locked up for 45 months after attacking an officer responding to a report of suspected criminal damage. 3 cases, parts of a worrying picture for officers policing Teesside streets. Last year, there were 762 reported assaults on officers or other Cleveland Force staff. That's an average of just over 2 a day. In 155 cases, the assaults resulted in injury.
Monster Math presents multiplication.
And during that to be physically assaulted.
The officer in this case didn't suffer any long-term physical injury, but doubtless walked away wondering how easily this arrest could have ended very differently.
So, Greg, this is a painful reality for police trying to fight crime in our streets. So what's the bigger picture, though? Is this an issue that is getting better or worse?
Well, Amy, this is one of the main response hubs for Cleveland Police. And just to give you a sense of what officers heading out through those gates tonight on a shift could be heading into, last night alone, we are told that there were 5 assaults on Cleveland police officers on duty. Now, that number, we're told, is above average, but still pretty alarming. But you ask about the bigger picture, well, there is better news there. The numbers for last year are down 120 on the year before. That's a drop of around 14%. In addition to that, Cleveland police tell us that the cases for last year, all of them resulted, 62% of them resulted in what they describe as positive outcomes. What does that mean? Well, essentially, it means that whoever was responsible for that assault on an officer was arrested, charged, and successfully prosecuted. But as far as the people heading out on shift tonight is concerned, I'm sure just one attack will feel like too many.
OK, Greg, thank you very much indeed.
More than twice the number of children in the North East are receiving treatment for alcohol or drug addiction compared to their counterparts in the South East.
That statistic has triggered the introduction of specialist sessions in schools across Darlington to allow teenagers to ask questions and to learn more about addiction, to help them understand the risks of substance misuse.
Our correspondent Rachel Bullock was invited into one of the sessions, which was held at the town's Longfield Academy.
A lesson in life.
What do you think some of the biggest risks are of heroin?
Infected?
Yeah.
Teenagers shown firsthand the deadly realities of drug addiction.
Look out for extreme hyperactivity and sweating. That's disgusting. Paranoia, anxiety, circulatory and nervous system causing fits.
This school is one of many in Darlington which is holding these sessions.
People can buy drugs online. It's a really common method, which we'll go through shortly, and that's a real concern.
Which have education and prevention at their very heart.
Unfortunately, a lot of the drugs that are marketed nowadays and the way they're channeled through social media, these young people are the target demographic for these drugs, and it's important that they are allowed to take ownership of their own choices. They will potentially be presented with drugs at some point in their life, and having that real adult understanding of what the risks are allows them to kind of make better decisions.
We've learnt about different types of drugs and the effects on people, and with all the drugs in general, to definitely stay away.
It familiarises them with the drugs, so if they get caught out on the street, they'll know not to take it.
And it's work that's needed in the North East, which is suffering a stark north-south divide in substance addiction amongst young people. Here, 22 out of every 10,000 under 17-year-olds are in treatment for drug and alcohol abuse. That compares to 9 in every 10,000 in the South East, less than half.
The most important thing is we provide a safe environment for young people to ask questions and have conversations.
As a deputy head, I could go and deliver the session, but to have somebody who's got the experience, the expertise, and the ability to communicate to young people in a different way, to me, I think really is incredibly valuable.
These are just some of the illegal vapes which have been handed in. They were in circulation in Darlington, and they contain extremely highly dangerous levels of contaminated substances, including cannabis. Young people often sold these without having any idea of what's really in them.
We're seeing drugs actively advertised to young people, and that's where we feel like if they're better informed, they can identify these sort of risk factors really early on and understand what they're purchasing and what they might be ingesting carries a high risk.
We've got to see what different types of drugs look like.
And do you think your generation are under a lot of pressure when it comes to drugs and the availability?
I think more so than past generations because it's more easy accessible.
Educating now for a lifetime of understanding and safety. Rachel Bullock, ITV News, Darlington.
Work today is broken. Every day, people juggle so many different tools.
Next tonight, the parents of a teenager from County Durham who was killed in a car crash say that the government's recently unveiled road safety strategy was a missed opportunity.
Andrew Rowlands was 18 when he died in 2020. His parents are campaigning for a change in the law to stop anyone without a driving licence from buying a car.
After their meeting with a government minister, they spoke to our political correspondent, Tom Sheldrick.
This was Andrew Rowlands about to leave home on the day he died. And this was the scene of the crash that killed him. He was a passenger in this unroadworthy car which had been bought for £100 the night before. The driver had no licence. Andrew's parents want to close what they see as a loophole in the law. They met a Transport Minister at Westminster yesterday.
There is, to me, missed opportunities at this moment because the reality is somebody still today who shouldn't be able to could go out and buy a car this afternoon off social media when they shouldn't,
Definitely. But we're staying positive and we're hoping hoping that, they'll listen, and we will. Maybe save a lot more lives. Like we say, it's too late for us. It's about saving your children.
The government published their road safety strategy last month. The families say it doesn't address this issue, but their local MP is hopeful it still might.
Do you think you can still get things into that strategy?
Yes, we're in a consultation period now on different strands of the strategy, and we'll be feeding into those so that our views are not just there, in Parliament, and that they're actually in writing for people to consider and respond to.
It's nearly 6 years since Andrew died, but his parents say they won't stop campaigning.
We know that regular people are dying at the hands of unlicensed drivers.
Yeah.
People are being left with serious injuries because of unlicensed, uninsured drivers. And I don't believe that in modern age it has to be this way. We could do something better to make that less.
I think the frustration for me is it's happened before Andrew, and they knew about it. There's nothing about it. And then since losing Andrew, there's a lot more people died, and they still know about it. So it's a question of how many more before they do something about it.
But even without it being enforced, these parents are asking anyone selling a car privately to be careful over who's buying it, hoping that could help prevent others from experiencing their grief.
And let's pick up with Tom at Westminster. And Tom, what's the government saying about this issue?
Helen, the Department for Transport told us their thoughts remain with the Rowlands family and they're consulting on various motoring offences. The road safety strategy does include plans to take tougher action on people driving without a licence, an MOT or insurance, but nothing about needing a licence to buy a car. 2 years ago, the last government said that would be impractical, though as we've heard, there are still chances to shape this strategy, and Andrew's parents said yesterday's meeting was positive. They've also called previously for tighter rules on new drivers, for example, stopping them from being able to take a car load of passengers. That wasn't in the strategy either, but the government are looking at whether drivers will have to learn for at least 3 or 6 months before taking their test. And ministers say that will help reduce the number of young people killed on our roads.
So potentially more to come on this. Thank you, Tom, at Westminster.
A man from Hartlepool has been charged with murder after a student was found dead in university accommodation. 19-year-old Carla Georgescu was in her second year studying at the University of Lancashire. She died last Thursday. 34-year-old Nathan Owens from Hartlepool has now been charged with her murder.
You're watching ITV News. Tyne teas still to come on tonight's programme.
Rules of the sky, new regulations for drone owners as they become more commonplace.
Flying high, Borough moved to the top of the championship after a win over Sheffield United last night.
And the setup stays the same. Low pressure in the west, cloud spells of rain, but things are starting to change. Some brighter spells developing in the forecast. I'll have that later.
Next tonight, experts say we're facing a forgotten front in the battle to keep children and young people safe online.
Yes, well, there's been a lot of focus on the harms of social media. They say there's been much less awareness around AI chatbots. Now, they allow a user to simulate human conversation, but with a computer.
Research released for Safer Internet Day shows young people are increasingly relying on them, even seeing chatbots as friends. Lauren Hall reports.
So I'm going to hand these round for you to all have a look at. They've already had their breakfast, but these Year 10s are being given some food for thought. This chatbot cereal is being served up in schools to serve up a few truths about artificial intelligence and how it interacts with us.
It may contain bias, incorrect responses, outdated information and other inaccuracies.
Why does it say 0% care and friendship? I wonder.
It's a national initiative to get young people thinking about how they use AI chatbots.
I use it for advice when I'm feeling like I've not really got anyone to speak to, and it's always receptive.
If I just quickly need something generated or just like I quickly need to get an answer, then, well, yeah, it's always quick to go to.
It's nice to have someone to talk to. I don't really feel comfortable telling everything to my friend. It's easier to tell a robot who won't tell anything to anyone.
So does it in some ways become like a friend?
Kind of, yeah. I honestly use it. I use it a lot.
Can you imagine a world without AI?
No, not at all. This is it. This world needs AI. Now this is just the sweetest wallet I've ever seen. GPS trackable, trigger engaged, and
shows more than a third of 11 to 16-year-olds have felt like an AI chatbot is a friend. Half say they're easy to talk to, that they're easy to trust, while 1 in 3 have shared something they wouldn't tell their parents, teachers or friends. George Spower runs Digital Safety, helping to educate young people in Chester Street.
It's not about just throwing young people in the classroom and teaching them about all the dark sides of the internet, but starting that conversation early. Young people are accessing the internet earlier and earlier and earlier, and we need to make sure that they're making an informed decision when they're doing so.
Tech companies behind AI chatbots say they take these issues seriously, and some have been enhancing the measures they use to protect young people. Here, there's a growing appetite to learn more about them, the pros and the cons.
Not a substitute for friends and family. Yeah, definitely not.
It's been so interesting to talk to young people today, and it really has confirmed the fact that we have to be having these conversations about AI. What we're talking about here is chatbots that are highly anthropomorphic, human-like, so it's very seductive. What's happening there is that's potentially increasing the risk of loneliness and the ability to form real emotional, relational connections.
It's hoped this initiative will give young people a better understanding of AI chatbots and encourage a healthier digital diet. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Well, here's something to look out for tonight on ITV, the Martin Lewis Money Show Live. It follows this evening's news at 7:15, and here's Martin with what's in store tonight.
Valentine's Day is on the way, so on our show, we're going to be talking marriage. But forget the romance. This is about the cold, hard financial benefits that include inheritance tax, wills, ISAs, estate pension, income tax, and relationship protections of marriage and civil partnerships. So if you're not married, should you do it? And if you are, how do you max the benefits?
Wow, lots to think about there, wasn't there? Here's something else to think about. The popularity of drones, which has increased significantly in recent years. You might own one yourself because it's estimated that around 1 million people in the UK do own one.
And with that rise, the rules on flying them have been tightened to better regulate who's using them and for what purpose.
Yeah, so just what are those rules and who do they apply to? Our reporter James Webster's been finding out more.
Spectacular views of landscapes from high in the sky. Capturing images like these is why many people buy a drone. And with so many now in use, the Civil Aviation Authority has extended the requirements for registering as a drone pilot.
We were conscious that a lot of people now are using smaller drones because they're way more capable and can do fantastic things, but obviously they still need the education. So the Flyer ID test teaches people how to fly safely, where they can fly, heights they can fly, keeping clear of airfields and restricted airspace, but also we hope and we think will lead to them enjoying their drone more.
Anyone flying a drone that weighs more than 100 grams must get a Flyer ID. The threshold for that used to be 250 grams. To get an ID, they need to pass a free online theory test to check they understand safety rules. New drone users also need to register for an operator ID, and if it's a child flying the drone, that operator must be an adult. David Wilkin from Durham runs a website and social media page that uses his drone images to celebrate landmarks here in the northeast.
Having a bit more responsibility and learning is always a good thing. So the more we can educate people, the safer this hobby will be. The answers on the test are pretty straightforward. So they are things that you should generally know and be aware of before you're flying the drone anyway. So it shouldn't really create any negative barriers, and that does open up also new possibilities of flying slightly larger drones than what we were able to before.
The changes are designed to protect other aircraft. Aviation consultant Chris Davies says the consequences of drones going where they shouldn't can be serious.
Near-miss incidents do remain at a persistent level in the vicinity of airports across the UK, whether it's Manchester, Liverpool, Gatwick, Heathrow, or indeed at Newcastle Airport only last July, when a Boeing 737 was on finals to land, when they had a very near miss with a large drone that was witnessed by both the crew and a passenger on board. And it's proximity such as that that represents a significant concern and is the reason why the airport authorities have to take these drone near misses so very seriously.
Although the new rules can be enforced by police if necessary, the Civil Aviation Authority hopes drone pilots will see why they are so necessary. James Webster, ITV News.
It's time for sport now. Middlesbrough have a bird's eye view from the top of the Championship. Are they heading for the Premier League?
There's so much data. We'll be building models all night.
Nope. I'm using Saspire to build my...
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
So yeah, Middlesbrough top of the Championship for the first time since October. They do look capable of staying there, Simon, yeah?
They do. 6 wins in a row. They're flying. They're not just top of the Championship. They're absolutely clearly playing their best football in the Championship at the moment as well. Borough hit the summit after last night's excellent 2-1 win at Sheffield United. In more ways than one, what comes next is starting to feel very exciting for Borough fans. The smile of a man on top of the league. Kim Hellberg's Middlesbrough have looked like the Championship's top dogs for a while, and now the table agrees.
A good game, and I think we were over 90 minutes a better team and deserved the win, and had some unbelievable quality in the way we play and how we defend. So I'm very proud and very happy.
As good a performance as they've had under Kim Hellberg, and I mean 10 wins in 14 games under him, so there's been a lot to like about Kim Hellberg's Middlesbrough, but a really good performance and a really important statement win as well, moved from top of the league, 6 wins in a row. They just feel like they're on a really good run at the moment.
This latest win at Sheffield United was another feather in the cap because it wasn't easy. They had to work for it. But this team doesn't mind hard work and they love scoring goals. Tommy Conway's opener was a delight, the sort of flowing football that's becoming Borough's calling card. Like we said, it wasn't easy and Middlesbrough-born Sol Bryn earned his money. But the visitors were the better team and Riley McGree's rebound right on half-time was no more than they deserved. An old face caused a few problems later on. Patrick Bamford had 2 spells at Middlesbrough and he got the home side back into it, but they were effectively back out of it again when Joe Rothwell was sent off for a gruesome tackle on Alan Brown. The jury didn't take long to convict him. So Borough's hot streak continues. Kim Hellberg's team are back on top, deservedly so, according to a former Borough boss.
I've got to say, I think they're the best team that we've played so far in my time back here. We run them close, but ultimately not close enough.
Excitement is growing. In the medium term, there are 15 games for Borough to sew up automatic promotion. In the short term, the next game is away at second-placed Coventry next Monday night.
Yeah, right, it's going to be huge, isn't it? I mean, Middlesbrough don't tend to get good results down at Coventry, but at the minute, I mean, the way they're playing, the belief that you can clearly see they've got within the team, you'd back them.
Nobody's going to want to get ahead of themselves, but it's almost getting hard not to get ahead of yourself now, isn't it?
I guess your one concern might be, have the peak too early. You're going to hope that isn't the case. Even if they did suffer a little bit of a drop-off or they suffered some injuries, I think they'd still have enough, realistically, to get through now. And I think, 15 games to go, still a lot to play for, but there's every reason to believe that this Middlesbrough team have got what it takes now.
It's far, far too early to start planning the promotion party. The Championship is a brutal, relentless struggle. But as of last night, Borough are in control of the table and in control of their own destiny.
So Middlesbrough exactly where they want to be at the moment. But Simon, it is quite an unusual situation when you think that they had to change course so abruptly earlier on in the season.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder, are we witnessing one of football's happy accidents? Remember Rob Edwards, who was doing a perfectly good job at the start of the season, then left for Wolves. Now, we don't need to relitigate that. But then Kim Hellberg comes in. Let's be honest, no one's really heard of him. And he's doing an absolutely amazing job. They are top of the league and they have got every chance to make it 3 North East teams in the Premier League next season.
There's a prospect.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We're going to turn our attention to the Premier League now because tonight, Simon, Newcastle United's trip to Spurs. Some people might say 2 clubs in crisis, bit of a stretch maybe, but pressure on both clubs, shall we say?
Yeah, you can see why people say it. It's 2 big clubs, 2 Champions League clubs, both considered to be underperforming in the Premier League this season. Now, part of the narrative is that both head coaches are supposed to be under pressure. Thomas Frank for Spurs and, of course, Eddie Howe for the Magpies. Look, looking from the outside, you'd say, yes, Thomas Frank is under pressure at Spurs. I'm still not convinced there's pressure on Eddie Howe from within Newcastle United. But he is putting pressure on himself because things need to improve, and he does know that. And some sections of the Magpie support are underwhelmed by what they're seeing. So all things considered, This is a pretty big game, and Eddie Howe wants a big performance from his team.
I don't think the performances have been particularly bad. Statistically, we're still pretty strong in every game, but the results certainly haven't matched that. So it's been a difficult run of games. It continued to be a difficult run of games for us. But that's where we all need to show our strength of character and our resolve and our resilience and our feeling that how important this is to us. And that needs to show most importantly on the pitch.
Thank you, Simon. Now, you're perhaps getting as fed up as we all are with the very grey weather. Well, now Gateshead Council has been trying to bring some brightness to this time of year, all the grey that we've been experiencing.
It has been grim, hasn't it? It still is grim. But they've been working with local people to try and suggest some new names for its gritting fleet. And it's fair to say we think we've been having some fun with this. So here we go. Some of our favourites are Chill Halfpenny, Control, Salt and Delete, which are on the computers here, isn't it? Sir Brendan Defroster and ICDC.
Very good.
Play on ACDC. I had to pronounce that right there. Sorry, I was just really spelling that out. They're funny, they're good, aren't they?
You've done the weather, to be fair, grey, grim.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, we need those new gritters, though.
Do you know what? We will by the end of the week, and that does signal a change, finally. Although I have to say, while it's been grim in the sky, on the earth, something a bit more interesting down here. Have a look at this because, well, our constant stuck-in-a-rut weather has been bringing those winds in from the east coast and moving the sand around. And like here near Seaton Sluice, they've been unveiling, unearthing, or unsanding, if you will, beach defences from World War II, usually hidden away. The square blocks were designed to stop tanks, and these consistent winds have left them on display. And it's been across the coast, actually. There have been other places as well. You've been sending your photos in. The shifting sands here near Redcar. An old shipwreck has been revealed, believed to be from the 1800s, rarely visible there. And also we get these stumps of ancient, now petrified forests, as much as 10,000 years old. So all really fascinating and far more interesting than the weather recently, I have to say.
I'd definitely go with
But
that.
finally, I might have something to talk about by the end of the week. With that in mind, here's your forecast.
Honey, why is the speaker on, but there's absolutely no sound coming out?
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
We are still holding on to lots of cloud at the moment. Of course, it has been bringing spells of rain today. That'll continue tonight, into tomorrow, into Thursday as well. But things are starting finally to change, and we're looking towards Friday for that, becoming brighter, but also colder. Rain falling as snow, certainly over higher ground. But it does finally signal a shake-up of the setup that has been with us for days and days and days. Low pressure sitting towards the west. Around that, we've got the cloud, the patchy rain. Through Thursday, starting to move its way further east. We're opening up that flow from the north. So yes, colder air is on the way. February's still very much a winter month, but it's going to push all this out of the way, shake things up a bit. And Saturday actually looking pretty decent for some unbroken blue skies to come. For now, though, of course, it's cloudy, it's wet. We've seen a switch in wind directions coming in from the North Sea. Again, that's not ideal for us. Murky conditions take us into the early hours. Temperatures holding up at around 5 or 6 degrees. So despite things technically not being too chilly as we head into Wednesday morning, it's not a very impressive start to the day. The easterly winds are adding a chill to things. Further spells of rain right across the region as we head through the day. The odd heavier burst, a lot of this drizzle. It's light and patchy, temperatures at around 6 or 7 degrees, but in those winds it is going to feel closer to around 1 or 2. Later Wednesday and into Thursday, for now that setup is holding on, so that means low pressure sitting out towards the west of us, and around that we've got the cloud, the rain, that flow coming in from the North Sea. It's later Thursday, this low pressure finally starts to make its move. So it's looking like into Friday we start to see that switch in wind direction coming down from the north, adding to the risk of winteriness, but by Saturday, fingers crossed for plenty of sunshine.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Thank you, Ross. Look at that. The sunshine on Saturday.
For one day.
Yeah, only for one day. Blink and you miss it. National News is next.
I'll be back at 10:40. Have a lovely evening, won't you? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.